This is David Gray, Mandan, North Dakota. Today's August 11th, 2022. This video presentation presents my research project defense for my research topic, economic development on Indian reservations in the United States in the post-World War II era, with emphasis on the Standing Rock Indian reservations in North Dakota. This research topic morphed and evolved a great deal over the course. I started out very broadly with economic development on Indian reservations since the end of the war, but that certainly is too broad. I figured then I would focus on just North Dakota Indian reservations. That's still a huge topic. Then I thought I'd do a comparative study on two reservations, Fort Berthold Reservation and the Standing Rock Reservation, still too broad. I finally decided to narrow down my paper to focusing on the history of federal policy for the last 2 centuries on managing Indian reservations, and then using content from my oral history interview to illustrate economic conditions on the Standing Rock Indian Reservation in North Dakota. The significance of this research question is deeply a part of the American experience itself. The legacy of Native American lives since the time of first contact with Europeans in the 15th century is a deeply ingrained and illuminating aspect of the story of America and its people. A myriad of issues have impeded economic development for many Native Americans historically and in our own time. It's vital that all who comprise our American community are extended the rights and opportunities to realize their best selves. My research in this on economic development of Native Americans, particularly in our own time, has revealed to me that Native Americans can benefit immensely from changes in policy and relationships with government in America. So Native Americans have the same opportunities for happiness and prosperity in our country. American writer, Christian missionary, and novelist Curl Buck once said, "For the test of a civilization is the way that it cares for its helpless members." Key primary resources for my research. There are ample primary and secondary sources available to support this study of economic development of Native Americans on North Dakota Indian reservations. Numerous books and articles are readily available from the Jerry Falwell Library and the North Dakota State Library in Bismarck, a short distance from my home in Mandan, North Dakota. There are invaluable archival resources on Indian reservations in North Dakota in the North Dakota State Archives, including records of three affiliated tribes, the Standing Rock Sioux Council, and the North Dakota Indian Affairs Commission. These resources are available in the North Dakota State Archives in Bismarck. Additionally, there are great opportunities for oral history in the economic development of Indian reservations in the post-World War II era. I conducted an oral history interview with Lorraine Davis, CEO and founder of the Native American Development Center in Bismarck. The NADC works to assist Native entrepreneurs providing micro enterprise business loans for startup businesses. Additionally, I conducted an oral history interview with Scott Davis, the former chairman of the North Dakota Indian Affairs Commission. It's a state agency for improvement of tribal and state relations. And we discussed economic conditions and initiatives on North Dakota's Indian reservations. Scott has tremendous experience working with three different governors, 24 different tribal chairmen and tribal organizations throughout the state for the last 12 years. Both interviews were invaluable and provided critical insights on constraints with economic development on Indian reservations in North Dakota. My research findings primarily focus on the vital changes that should be made in respect to policy and relationships governing all Indian reservations in America. First of all, Native Americans in the 21st century. Native Americans have a long history of dismal social and economic progress in American history. Since the end of World War II, however, conditions have improved on Indian reservations. However, uh, uh, Indians still continue to lag behind all ethnic groups in America in the way of employment opportunity, health, income, crime, incidents of addictions, violence, and quality of life. And there are other obstacles to economic development on Indian reservations. First and foremost is the federal trust system of Indian lands and day to day federal interference in tribal matters. The federal trust system of Indian lands significantly prevents economic use of land on Indian reservations for development. The bureaucracy associated with governance and use of Indian lands is burdensome and smothers efficient use of Indian land for economic development. There's also a significant tribal inability to raise money for infrastructure development and poor access to lending opportunities for Native Americans for construction and economic development. Um, there's significant legal and political uncertainty on Indian reservations. Without a consistency of tribal leadership, petty politics, and poor planning, economic development is stunted on Indian reservation lands. And finally, the inability of tribal institutions to inspire entrepreneurial investment by non-tribal business entities is a huge problem because of strict and crippling federal trust system management of Indian lands, tribal politics and economic credibility. Non-Indian business entities are wary of investment on tribal lands. So this research has opened a world of federal and native policies and politics that affect virtually everything in respect to our national history over the last 2 centuries. I'm planning to do a dissertation on the subject of Native American history, and this research into the weeds of changing federal policy on control of Native populations of America in America over time has been very illuminating. Dr. Roberts suggested this topic, and for that I'm grateful. Thank you.